Hello everyone and welcome to WordFleet. In this video, I'm going to show you how to access your server and site files from your desktop using the free FTP client FileZilla. And let me just start by saying we are not affiliated in any way with FileZilla. We just happen to think it's a great FTP client that you can download for free. If you don't yet have FileZilla and want to download it, you can do so from their website right here. And it is available for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. So if you'd like to install it so that you can follow along, feel free to pause the video now and then we'll continue. Alternatively, if you prefer another FTP client, feel free to follow along using that, as the process will be similar. So as you can see here in my WordFleet account, I currently have 5 sites spread over 2 different projects and hosted on 2 different servers. I have my development server here, and I have a production server. So let's say that I want to access the site files for my dev.wordfleettutorials.com website right here that's hosted on my development server. To do that, I need 2 things from the WordFleet dashboard before we continue. The first thing I need is the IP address for the server that we're going to access, in this case, the development server. And so we can get the IP address right here at the top. I'm going to go ahead and click on that to copy it. The second thing we need is an SSH key, which we can actually find right here on the SSH keys page. An SSH key, or technically an SSH key pair, is sort of like a super password that we can use to authenticate and encrypt our connection to the server. So let's generate a new SSH key, which you can do right here. First thing we want to do is insert a label that we identify this key with, so that can be descriptive, as you like. I'm going to just use tutorials. Next, we need to select the key size that we want to use. We recommend either the 4096 default or the 8192 option. I'm going to go ahead and leave it as default. Finally, we need to add a key comment. This allows other users on the server to identify whose key is which. If you're the only one using your server, this doesn't really matter. Either way, we default it to using the email address for your account, as shown here. I'm going to go ahead and leave that as it is. And once we're happy, we can go ahead and generate this key. Now we need to download the SSH key file for FileZilla, which we can do by clicking on this button right here. By the way, if you know how to use SSH or FTP via a terminal, you're free to download the OpenSSH key for Mac OS, Linux, or Windows Subsystem for Linux. And since I am done downloading, I'm going to go ahead and finish this out. And just to point this out, if you do delete the key here in the WordFleet dashboard and you delete that file that you just downloaded, you will have to repeat this process. We now have our server IP address and we now have our SSH key file, so we can go ahead and run FileZilla. So once we're in FileZilla, the first thing we want to do is open the site manager, which we can do with this button here at the top left. Now we want to enter the information for the site and server that we want to access, and we can do that by clicking New Site right here. And we can go ahead and enter a name for that, so I will just call this Development Server. Next, in the protocol field, we want to select SSH File Transfer Protocol. And our host is going to be the IP address of the server. So let's paste that in. Our logon type is going to be a key file. Our user is going to be root. And now we can browse to select the SSH key file that we downloaded a few minutes ago. So let's go ahead and do that. Next, we want to click on the Advanced tab right here. In the default remote directory field, we want to actually enter in the following: /var/www. This will make it easy to access the correct directories as soon as you connect to the server. Also, if you're doing active development, you can go ahead and set a default local directory where you have all of the work that you want to upload to your site, but we'll leave that up to you as it's mostly preferential. Now that we have all the information added, we can go ahead and click the OK button to save this. So now we can go ahead and connect to the server. We can do that by this little pull down here. We can now choose the development server. And if you see this warning, go ahead and trust this host as it's your own server. And there we go. We have now connected to our development server. At this point, you should see the directories that correspond to your projects, as I do right here. And if we want to access the actual site files within each of these projects, we can go ahead and just select on that. So in my WordFleet tutorials project, I have 2 sites, my dev and my staging sites, as you can see right here. And let's go ahead and access the dev site. And now we can see the WordPress files in my dev site right here. By the way, when we did this, you may have noticed that the remote path changed to a longer version that looks a little bit intimidating. This is simply due to how WordFleet uses its sandboxing system for deploying sites. Because of this, I have a quick quality of life suggestion for you. We can actually add a bookmark that quickly returns us to the default directory that we entered earlier. And to do that, we can go to the bookmarks menu right here, add a new bookmark. We can add any name we like. I'll simply call it Active Sites. And now we simply set the remote directory to our default starting directory, /var/www, hit OK. And now, anytime we want to return to our default directory that we started with, we can simply go to Bookmarks, choose Active Sites, and there we go, we're back to our default projects directory. So let's go ahead and access our dev site that we are interested in so that we can upload and download files to and from it. So to upload a file, we can simply drag from our local directory over to the server. And there you go. You can see the helloworld.txt file has been uploaded. And likewise, we can download if we like. So let's try downloading this license text file. And there we go. The license.txt file has been added to our local directory. I should just mention something that I hope is obvious. Please do be very careful about manipulating the site files on your remote server. In particular, and this is something we get asked about on occasion, you should not edit your WP config file right here via FileZilla or any other direct method. This file is automatically generated for each site that is deployed by WordFleet, meaning that changes will be overwritten by the WordFleet system. We actually offer a separate mechanism for editing your WP config file via the WordFleet dashboard, and that's something I'll talk about in a future video. Finally, I'm going to go ahead and add my production server into FileZilla. This is purely just to demonstrate that you can connect to 2 different servers using the same key file. So once again, we can open up the site manager. Here we can just simply go ahead and make it easy, duplicate the server I already have. Let's just put production server. And all of the options will stay the same except for the server IP. So let's go ahead and change that to my production server. And everything else should be the same, so we can go ahead and hit OK. And let's try connecting to the production server. Again, we can go ahead and trust this since it's my server. And there we go, we've now connected to the second server using the exact same key file. There you have it, that's how you can access your WordFleet servers and site files using FileZilla. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. But before I go, let me just say, as always, that if you found this content useful, please do consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel. Thank you for using WordFleet, and I'll see you in the next video.